Thorny, as we venture into the R&R, two truths are consistent. We love our dear Montana State, and we love great beer. And you know who else feels the same? Jeremiah Johnson Brewing. Brewed in the heart of Montana in downtown Great Falls, Jeremiah Johnson takes Montana's finest ingredients to craft some of Montana's favorite beers. And now, Jeremiah Johnson's second tap room is open in downtown Coeur d'Alene. Their Citra IPA is probably one of my favorites. But we all know, Thorny, you're not the hop lover I am. You're more of a mountain man Scotch ale.
Well, Foley, I'm certainly not a mountain man, but you are right. I do love their Mountain Man Scotch Ale. But come game day, you and I are both cracking their Golden Bobcat Pale Ale. So when you're looking for a quality craft beer brewed with Montana roots, a relaxing tap room, or just a six-pack to take to your favorite Bobcat tailgate, Jeremiah Johnson delivers. Make your next beer a Jeremiah Johnson, and as always, go Cats.
That looks like those little apple juices my son's drinking.
That's right,
fridge,
like a little mott or whatever.
You could put a little nipple on that and serve it to a baby. Welcome, everybody, to the R&R Catcast, a fan-based podcast focusing on Montana State athletics. We're two dudes named Ryan from the state of Washington talking about our dear Montana State. We hope you enjoy. All right, welcome back, Bobcat fans. Thanks for joining us on another episode of the R&R Catcast. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Foley. Across the state from me, my good buddy, Ryan Thornburg. We are the Ryans of the Montana State affiliate of the Big Sky Podcast Network. We're also brought to you by our ding sponsor, Jeremiah Johnson brewing awesome beer in downtown Great Falls with the second tap room in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Thorny, how you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I'm sure you know exactly why. I'm pretty sure most Bobcat fans are doing fantastic right now. How you doing?
Vim.
Oh, man.
Pumping through me, buddy.
Let it flow through. Yes, I am full of vim. I was so hyped during that game. Oh, my goodness. We'll get into that. But yeah, I still got plenty of residual vim left.
I like vim, man. What is vim? Is vim a noun? Is it an adjective? Both? A verb?
I think it's an adjective.
Okay.
You make me Google vim right now.
Yeah, I think you should, man. I think it's more of a noun. What is vim?
Why am I not finding the definition for vim? We are fumbling right out of the gate. That's terrible. Absolutely terrible way to start this. It's a noun. Duh.
Yes.
Energy, enthusiasm.
Energy, enthusiasm coursing through our veins.
Such an uncommon word.
That's
why I like it so much, because I think it's like unique to Montana State.
We have kind of leaned into that word this year. I think it's an awesome word.
I love it.
I think my sons were asking me, Dad, what does vim mean? And I was just like, it's just that good feeling you get when you're excited. So I think I was pretty good on that.
Yeah, perfect. Yep, that's perfect.
Well, we will get into a show rundown right now. We're going to go into the news here. We'll talk a little bit about some of the injury status and some notables from the last weekend against Sam Houston State. We'll parlay that into our talk about Sam Houston State, the big win down in Huntsville, Texas. And then we are going to preview the semifinal game here in Bozeman, Montana, against the South Dakota State Jackrabbits. We'll finish the episode with some Golden Coolie questions, and in general, we're going to just try to have some fun and kick it tonight.
Yeah, no guests lined up, nothing too crazy, no double, triple episode week or anything like that. We're kind of, I feel like we should just stick to our roots here, do a game recap and a game preview, and just have some fun talking some Bobcat football.
You're right on, man. Before we do anything like that, though, we're going to talk about what's in our Golden Coolies.
I don't think I've done this on the show. Oh, that was not nearly as exciting as I wanted it to be. That was a twist top from a bottle. It just sounded like me just making weird scratchy noises, I'm sure. But I just cracked open, putting it in the camera for Foley.
Oh.
I got the little stubby High Life guy. The little tiny one.
Oh my gosh. That is so cool.
I'm like, man, this is calls for a celebration. I'm in a great mood. It reminds me of what Jeff Choate said in 2019, rarefied air. Like we're in a good spot. I just want to celebrate. Got myself a little High Life. Got myself a backup beer. Don't you worry out there. But here we go. Miller High Life. Cheers. Cheers, Bobcat fans.
It looks like those little apple juices my son's drinking.
That's right, like a little mott or whatever.
You could put a little nipple on that and serve it to a baby.
Well, I just found the intro to the podcast right there. There we go. Mark it. What are you drinking?
Tony, I think, yes, I don't know if you've had this beer on. I was trying to rack my brain. I picked it up. This is something I try to pick up every winter. I'm going to put it in front of my screen right there. It's Sierra Nevada Celebration Fresh Hop IPA. Did you have this on recently?
No, I did not.
Okay.
I
you're
IPAs.
Not a fresh hop kind of guy. Celebration IPA. It's their winter IPA. It's their holiday season. They never used to call it their fresh hop IPA. That's some new branding for them. But yeah, it's they come out with it every year. But what an apropos name, Celebration
Perfect.
IPA.
You may be thinking of a beer I had, Elation, something or other.
Oh yeah,
I don't know what it was.
It's not good.
No, I didn't like it at all. Probably because it was an IPA, but like most every single beer in Washington State on the shelves is.
Yeah, they truly do dominate the grocery store when you're looking at the selections. But now that the Grizzlies are out of contention, I could go back and buy myself a 6-pack of Moose Drool, or maybe a 12-pack of Moose Drool. Keep that in the rotating fridge because I haven't had a Moose Drool in a while, and I kind of miss them.
So when do you stop drinking Missoula beers?
Probably Cat Grizz week, and then I just you
wait until they lose.
Thought about it, but yeah, I think I looked at the Moose Drool the other week, and I was like, no, they're still in. I'm not going to buy anything that supports the Missoula economy. I don't know. Superstitions, just jacking my beer.
Hey,
selections.
We're here in the semifinals. Nothing is stupid if it's working, right? I do like the theme we have going tonight, though. Both of us picked out a beer for a celebratory mood, because that's what it is, Bozeman. That's what it is.
Man, what a fun game on Saturday night. Saturday was my birthday. So it ended up being a perfect cap to my birthday. What a gift!
I didn't say happy birthday on the Instant Reaction Show. What a terrible co-host here. But you're here. Happy belated birthday here on a Monday.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
A little too late.
Oh. Well, let's move on and let's talk about the news that came out today. Coach Vigen. Well, there's a couple of different things. Coach Vigen talked in his press conference, and I always try to keep you abreast of the injury news. It sounds like the majors, the Talcottas, the Chase Bensons, and Troy Andersons, kind of tight-lipped. We're in the wait-and-see mode, as Coach Vigen talked about. Eric Zambrano should be able to play on Saturday.
That's good.
As you probably can imagine, there's some people with some, bumps and bruises right now. And I think some players that we haven't heard about are, just kind of nicked up right now. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some players out on Saturday and
that time of year.
A mixed bag. But we're really hoping for just recovered health for all. I mean, we talked about Chase Benson offline. Chase went down very first play. He didn't even make contact. He just tried to explode out of his stance and just fell right to the ground. And your heart just breaks for him. Talcotta, another same shoulder injury. I don't think that's going to heal up anytime soon. Troy Anderson, by all accounts, was playing with a bum shoulder or bum arm. Wouldn't allow the trainer to look at him, is what the reports were saying. Troy toughed it out. I imagine he probably will play Saturday. That's my guess. But, it just, we're struggling right now, like everybody.
Like everybody. So, no excuses there. Just giving you the facts here. A little banged up, and it is what it is. It's that time of year. That's who comes out on top. It's either teams are usually the healthiest or who have the best depth.
Yep. So outside of injury news, we did have a new transfer portal entry, Luke Pollock, who was kind of buried behind Blake Glessner. Luke got injured early on in the season, I think.
I think the
Blake
competition
took his spot.
Yeah, I think he got hurt in the competition, and then Glessner got the job, and then that was that.
Yeah, Stones took the job, and then so we never really got to see any of Luke Pollock. And by all means, I think if I remember right, Ryan, he might have been like the favorite to take that job going into the
That's
season.
what I had. My impression was he was the leading candidate. So I wish him nothing but the best wherever he ends up. Thanks for your time, Bozeman. And once a cat, always a cat.
Absolutely. Let's get into some notables from the game as well. Isaiah Fonte became the all-time single-season rushing record holder, passing Ryan Johnson by 2 yards. Right now, Isaiah Fonte has 1,539 yards. I think that deserves a little bit of applause.
That's incredible. Is it? Gosh, I can't remember. Okay, so it's 13 games. That's impressive. Absolutely impressive.
Yeah, Ryan Johnson probably did it with fewer.
He probably did it in 10 games.
Yeah, we'll have to go back and check that out, or maybe somebody could check that for us. And another one, Lance McCutcheon became the 6th Bobcat to surpass the 1,000-yard mark for a season. Another awesome season for Lance McCutcheon, who, he's just been such a great receiver. Who knew, right? Because he had such few opportunities the first 3 years being here. He just kept at it. That's something that makes me so happy. A guy that never gave up. Just for 3 years, just did his job, and now he's reaping the rewards.
Waited his time, had his breakout year for his senior season, and now Bobcat fans are just sitting there thinking, where was he, and why aren't you coming back next year? But yeah, heck of a season. It's been super fun to watch him, and he's been one of the biggest parts of our success. For sure.
Oh, yeah. Difference maker. He's not catching 10 balls a game, but the balls he does catch are significant plays.
Yeah. It's just like 1 or 2 less of those a game, and the Bobcats are a whole different record.
For sure. All right, man. That's all the news I can remember. Anything coming to mind?
No, that's all I got. Yeah, that's it. I'm sure there's tons of stuff that we'll think of as soon as we hit stop recording, but for the moment, brain is empty. Just Vim. There's just Vim in there.
Just Vim. Just coursing through us.
Bouncing around like the like those old screensavers where that logo bounces to the corners of the screen. That's just the Vim just bouncing in my empty vessel. But brain.
We won't go there. Okay. Let's just talk about Sam Houston State right now.
All right, let's get into the stats. First thing we normally do, Bobcats come away with a victory in Huntsville over the number 1 ranked team in the country, the number 1 seeded, defending national champs, winners of 22 straight games in a row. There's a whole bunch of other stuff we can say here. I'm hoping that one of us remembers all the things we've heard about their streaks that Sam Houston State had. But Bobcats win this game 42-19 in a pretty dominating fashion. Now, if you're looking at the offensive stats, it might not jump off the page as dominating. So the Bearkats, 20 first downs, the Bobcats 14. Both teams not so great on third down. The Bobcats were 4 of 12. The Bearkats were 5 of 16. The Sam Houston State went for it 3 times on fourth down, only converted 1 time. The Bobcats didn't try it once. Cats, 359 yards of offense. The Bearkats, 433 yards of offense, which may be the most against Montana State all year. I'd have to double check on that, but it sounds pretty high for what Bobcats normally allow. Bobcats threw for 169 yards, 165 of those Tommy Millott, the other 4 being Willie Patterson. 354 yards for the Bearcats through the air on 27 of 40 passing, 8.9 yards per pass, but 3 interceptions by quarterback Eric Schmid, and we'll get into that for sure. 4? Yeah, 4 if you're going to count the 2-point conversion dart straight into Jeff Manning's chest. Rushing, Bobcats hold the Bearcats is just 79 yards on the ground, 2.3 yards per carry, while the Bobcats combined for 190 yards on 43 attempts for 4.4 yards per carry. There were some penalties in this game. Cats 4 times for 45 yards. Bearcats 6 times for 72 yards. So a little bit more of a penalized game than I think the Bobcats have played in a while. And then the time of possession, the Bearcats, 33 minutes, the Bobcats, 27 minutes there. So again, you're looking at the stats. The only thing that's going to jump out to you in any way for the Bobcat favor is probably the turnovers here, but that was the biggest deal, setting up the offense with a short field a whole bunch, and that's why the stats aren't so gaudy for yardage for the Bobcats, because they had a short field and they took advantage of it the entire game. Tommy Watt, second career start, 6 for 11, 165 yards and 2 touchdowns. Isaiah Afonso, 24 carries for 105 yards and a touchdown. Lance McCutcheon, 2 receptions, 90 yards and a touchdown to round out your statistical leaders for the Bobcats.
You took my job there, Thorny.
You can do
I'm
the
going to complete it
guys.
for you. Well, I want to give credit to Jeff Manning, Trey Webb, Simeon Woodard. All had 1 interception. Jeff Manning had 2, but we just talked about that. Troy had 8 solo tackles, 11 total. Daniel Hardy had 6 solo, 7 total, with 2 sacks and 2 QB hustles.
Damn.
Stones was 6 for 6 on extra points. Bryce Layton had 8 punts with an average of 38.5 yards. And that's what I wrote down for the Cats. Eric Schmid, the great quarterback for Sam Houston State, went 27-39 for 354 yards and 3 interceptions. He's the real deal. Put 354 yards up on the Cats. That's a lot. They had 2 of those plays, though, or about 120 of those came on 2 of those plays, both from Ife Adai. He had 9 receptions for 184 yards, 2 touchdowns. Like I said, both of them being 61 yards. So you take away 121 of those yards. He had 8 catches for about 60 yards. So explosive player, like one of the fastest dudes we've seen all year long. Bobcats did a good job of corralling him, except those 2 times, right? So there's that. Noah Smith, one of their dynamic running backs, only had 6 carries for 34 yards. And we shut down Jacquez as their top receiver. He really only had 5 catches, 71 yards, and he didn't do anything in the return game. We bottled him up hardcore.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Eric Schmidt was a pretty good quarterback. Like, I could see why he had all the stats and he has lots of talent, but he just made some bad decisions. And I just think the Bobcats really confused him and what they were doing. Were 3 of those interceptions in the first half, or was one of them in the second half? I know 2 of them were pretty close to the opening bell there.
He had 3 in the first half. The first one was to Trey Webb. He was trying to put it right over Trey, and Trey just, extended out. Coach Vegan gave some compliments to what he's like. Webb's a long guy. I've never looked at Trey Webb as thinking he's a long dude, but Coach Vegan kind of expounded on that in his press conference today. Then a couple series later, maybe, Jeff Manning made a terrific play on a seam ball. And I thought he was going to take it to the house. I thought it was a pick 6 right there. I think if we would have followed Simeon Woodard as his blocker, he probably could have got in.
It was kind of an odd looking.
And then Jeff hit that. I thought he was going to bounce it outside. But actually, I remember rooting for him. I was like, no, just go. Because he got about to the 10-yard line and he was like looking for his lane. I was like, just plow as hard as you can into the end zone. Yeah, gun it. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Simeon Woodard had one in the fourth quarter, I believe, that kind of just sealed the game for us. And that was something I think we confused Schmidt on. Coach Vegan talked about that that look kind of confused him and had Schmidt thinking one thing and we showed another. Man, Simeon Woodard. Let's just stop and pause and give that guy some, like a true freshman. He's come on so strong. So good.
Absolutely.
So good. He's been the steadying force back there. A revolving door for a lot of our secondary. Not him, man. He's been a dude.
No,
just a dude.
Yeah, injuries and guys moving around and stuff. Like Zambrano's been in and out. Tyrell Thomas has been out for a while now. James Campbell has been out for a while. But there's Simeon Woodard just finally got his shot due to injuries. I don't know, about halfway through the season, hasn't really started playing a lot. But yeah, like last 4 or 5 games, he's been great. He's very fierce. He's a good tackler. He hits hard. He's competitive and he's fighting for everything, man. I love it. He's a great player, and I'm sure there's probably an added element to playing, I'm sure, in front of lots of his friends and family down there in Texas, being a Texas guy himself. So huge game for Simeon,
Right.
and just props to him coming on strong. He's been a bright spot in the defense, which is full of bright spots.
Oh gosh, you can't wait to see him in the next 4 years, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Amazing to think of what that kid's going to accomplish. Wow.
All right. So where do we want to go? We've kind of done the intro, talk about stats. I've already gone a couple dovetails off to the side there. I want to just talk about how refreshing it was to see the Bobcats just come out swinging. Like, they came out and they did stuff I hadn't seen. Like, I mean, we typically take a shot a lot of times on the first drive, I guess. I mean, that's not totally uncommon. But we tested the edge well with Willie Patterson. We let Malott just let some loose. Just throw it up to McCutcheon, man. Like, that's what you do. That's all you need to do. If it's one-on-one, he's going to win that ball more often than not. And it's like rarely ever intercepted. Like, worst case scenario, they get into a tangle and nobody catches the ball. Seems to be about the worst thing that happens when you throw it to McCutcheon. But I love that. We just seized momentum right off the bat. And the trickeration play, the Philadelphia special, the Treasure State special, as people are calling it now.
Okay.
With a wounded duck of a pass from Willie Patterson, but it got there, so it doesn't matter.
Ooh,
The history books will not remember that it was a terrible looking pass. They will only remember it as a touchdown. Yeah, man, that was just a great first drive. What did you think of, like, just the play calling and, you know, all the vim the Cats came out with there on the first drive?
we had some good option plays on that first drive. We got Tommy Malott out, and then we pitched it off to Willie Patterson once or twice. I thought we did a good job pressing the edges, and those seem to be like really good plays really early on, because obviously Sam Houston was trying to stuff the middle, and we didn't even test the middle early. Everything was on the outside. Everything was on the outside. We went up 28 points, and then we started really pounding it towards the middle. It really broke one, like, at the very end with Afonso. And so I know we'll talk about that. I'll talk about that right now. Thorny, what do you think about that? Montana State had such good momentum working the outside of the tackles. What do you think about them going towards more of the inside the box runs later in the game?
Well, you were just jumping straight from the first play to the third quarter, but that's all right. This is the random episode. This is what we do. At some point, I didn't love the kind of conservative play calling going up the gut, but I totally understand why we did it. It's like, you have faith in your defense. We're holding them. Don't do anything dumb with the ball. We've seen it all year. This is what happens when the Bobcats get a big lead. This is what Vegan and Housewright get into, and I don't love it, but I don't hate it. I mean, it wins ball games. If you're up, you're up, and then it protects leads pretty well. I think if Sam Houston State scores maybe one more touchdown, we kind of see it open back up, but they never did. They never got that close. But we still, all that also probably set up that Lance McCutcheon touchdown. You start pounding up the middle, then it even, those safeties and corners start creeping up even more. And then eventually you're able to pop one over to McCutcheon, or eventually you'll finally break one open. Like, Afonso was bottled up pretty well all day. Kudos to Sam Houston State's defensive line. They were, I thought, pretty much as advertised. They made it very difficult for the Bobcats to run, especially up the middle. We had a really hard time doing that. If you take away that last run by Afonso, it's pretty paltry stats, but he did get that run. So that's what happens. You just keep pounding it. Eventually, one of those 2-yard gains is a 40-yard touchdown run. So I don't love it, but you know what? It wins games, so I'm not going to argue it.
Yeah, you're right, man. I didn't personally like it, though. I was getting pretty frustrated in there. I think it was the third or fourth quarter. If you go back and look at the drives, we had 4 punts right in a row, 3 and outs, and it was just kind of I don't know. I was getting really upset. That's the time when I start pacing. You text me and you're like, "Man, I'm on a walk. Just let me know. I'll go back and watch it." But it's just such a difference from Montana State coming out, putting up 28 unanswered points before they score a touchdown, and then I don't know why they went for 2, but they did.
That was dumb.
I I know this is kind of coming off the trains a little, or coming off the rails a little bit. But I want to go back to the beginning of the game. That was probably one of the best beginning of the games I've ever seen from the Cats. It couldn't have gone any better.
You could not have
on a big stage
scripted a better start than that, right? So you get that touchdown, catching completely off guard, and then what was that? Is that the third play or the second play for Sam Houston State on their ensuing drive? The first time they have the ball, throws the ball right to Trey Webb, like on the 25-yard line, 30-yard line. I don't know where it was.
Yeah.
And this is where I was leading up to here as well. I loved that we took a shot immediately after the turnover. That's what you do. And that's not something I don't think we've done all year. We have, I think, at times, but that's where you just seize momentum and then you just take it. Like we got the turnover and all right, you could do an RPO thing and get a 5-yard carry, which is fine. But instead we draw it up. Malott throws one of the best passes by a quarterback on the Bobcat team all year, just drops it right in. Willie Patterson makes a heck of a over-the-shoulder catch with the guy draped right on him. That's pretty good coverage. Like, that was just a great throw and a great catch. And all of a sudden, it's 14-0, and you and I are just like, what is happening right now? I've never seen this kind of start. Is this real? This is the number one team in the country, and we're 14-0 within like 4 minutes of the game, 5 minutes. I don't know where it was. Like, holy cow, this is fantastic. So, yeah. Best start I've seen from a Bobcat team, and I don't even know.
That was the best Willie Patterson play I've ever seen.
It's up there, man.
Such a good catch. And that pass, that was the time where I started believing in Tommy Malott as a passer.
Right? Yep.
That was the play.
That was the meme, like, oh, Tommy can pass now, and we'll get into that too, but that pass was fantastic.
I think Coach Vigen said something along the lines today in his presser. He goes, you don't need Coach Vigen up here to tell you that Tommy Malott's a quarterback, but Tommy Malott's a quarterback.
Gosh, that sounds like something, like you reading the words to me, that sounds like exactly like something Jeff Choate would say.
It is really cool to see Coach Vigen he's been a different kind of guy in a little bit of a way.
He's growing into his role.
In his press conference, he's so much more comfortable. He's more engaging and less robotic, if that makes sense. He was so dry, and sometimes now his fun is like if you watch those, you can catch when he makes a joke. It's very sly, and he'll like kind of chuckle to himself, and you're like, if you don't pay attention, he'll miss it. But he'll say something kind of a little bit off the cuff in like his old Midwestern style. He'll be like,
I can't think I've ever heard
I love it.
Vigen kind of chuckle like that before. But I agree. He's definitely growing into it. He's more loose. He's getting a little bit of swagger in the press conferences. Not too much. It's very subtle.
Yeah.
But it's coming on.
Yeah.
And I mean, winning will help that, right? Your first time job, you're not necessarily nervous, but you realize like, yeah, your first time head coach. If you got to win, especially in a place that has a high expectation, and he's been doing that. So yeah, you're gonna loosen up just by the nature of that, because you're feeling good.
One more thing on that is the thing I think I noticed the most is just his praise for individual players. He was kind of effusive today and just went above and beyond talking about specific players and just the work and just the admiration that he has for them. One thing that kind of stood out, let's go back to Woodard. He was talking a ton about Simeon. He called him a godsend.
He did. I had that written down. I don't know where because it's not on the notes in front of me, but I wrote down godsend.
So, this just kind of captures where Coach is at right now. He's obviously in a good spot.
Yep. Speaking of guys that I think are in a pretty good spot, and somebody that I know we've been a little bit not hard on, but we've definitely questioned. Taylor Houser, I think, drew up a good game plan, some good play calling today. We would talk a little bit about going conservative in our second half, but blah blah blah. But we came out, and I loved what we were doing on offense. That's probably the most dynamic I've seen the Cats be. And that, I don't know if that's what he's been doing all year, and just McKay wasn't executing it. That's always the hard thing to tell as a fan, but whatever it was on Saturday looked good. It was working. It caught them off guard. I want to give some props to Taylor House right on this one. That was a good game.
Yeah. for me, it was a good half of the game for Taylor House, right? So I'll half agree with you on that. Maybe, like you said, you texted me, he's like, maybe this is just a plan that we're just going to go super conservative. And even the commentators are talking about that. They're like, the Bobcats have taken the foot off the gas, but they don't need to. They've accomplished what they really need to accomplish, and now they just need to protect the clock and protect the ball.
I mean, there's a difference when you're up and you have some sort of like history of letting teams back in, or your defense is just not. I don't know. We have such a good defense, and at this point, this is the 13th game of the year. We've had leads. We just don't let leads dissipate. And this is what we've been doing. So, like, you're just sticking to what works. Like, you have such a good defense. You just go into this, all right, well, maybe we'll get one first down. Good enough. Grind out a couple more minutes off the clock and give the ball back to them inside their own 30, 40-yard line.
The thing that bugs me the most, though, Ryan, is how we run the ball. Like, the very beginning of the game, we were running on the outside of the tackles, and we had a lot of success on that. And then so we get into the third quarter, why do we have to keep running it up the gut? We can still run the ball, but do it in a different way.
You're
you know,
right.
Another thing I saw this game that I hadn't seen in a while, the diamond formation, that came back.
Where was that? I didn't catch that.
A couple times we saw it, and then we would specifically we would run it, and we would run it to the left. And we go off of Luke Kidd. It's always to 7 to 8 yards. We ran close to the goal line. I was like, where's that been? But there's no need for us to run, the RPO up the gut 3 times, or we're not doing that as much anymore. But I did not see a lot of runs to the outside, a lot of pitches to the outside. Honestly, I didn't even see Tommy Mollott stretch the pocket to the outside this game either. But specifically when we're talking about a running game, it just became very predictable again in the second half. And I was like, it doesn't take anything to call run, sweep, left to right. Cam Gardner, they had Cam Gardner running that fake fly sweep every single play. It felt like we didn't give it to him once, not once.
Yeah.
We missed a big opportunity too. One last thing I'll say, and I'll let you jump in here. I can't remember what play it was. Elijah Elliott was in, and we had I think trips on the right side, and we shot the trips up and cleared the zone. Elijah Elliott backed. He did kind of like a swing route into the flat right there, and Mollott totally missed him. Not like on a pass, but just kept it and just got smoked. I was like, oh my gosh, if we get the ball to Elliott right there, the defenders are, chasing the receivers down the field. That's 20, 30 yards, maybe touchdown right there. It's the easy play right there that we didn't miss. I mean, we just clearly missed. So,
Yeah, I mean, part of the reason that they might go so much to Afonso up the gut, number one, I think that's what Afonso does the best, is running between the tackles. But if you listen to I did catch that on Vegan's press conference today about just how important Afonso is. Like, he's just the dog, and they're just going to keep giving him the workload and stuff. So, I mean, it's almost like they don't trust anyone else besides Afonso in some ways. Like, they have some.
I think that's dangerous.
It's a little dangerous. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm just saying that's kind of what's maybe transpiring. I think he's just riding the horse that's got him here. I'm not saying I agree with any of this. I'm just trying to think maybe the mindset behind it. But yeah, I mean, I don't love it when we get conservative and just hand the ball to Afonso up the gut or RPO, and which is always handoff. But like I said, I can't complain when you build a 28-point lead. That's pretty insurmountable in a football game, especially against a defense like ours who's only given up more than 28 points one time all year. I mean, think about that. We had a 28-point lead. The Grizz scored 29. The next was 20.
That's a good point.
So 20-point lead is like lights out, game over. And Sam Houston State only ended up with 19. Less than Eastern Washington.
Thorny, I guess I only have one more thing to say on the Sam Houston State game from me. And if you want to continue talking, I'll entertain some questions. But if you didn't listen back to the Arnar incident take episode, I clearly stated multiple times I was wrong. I did not think that we were going to be able to move the ball against Sam Houston State's defense. That was my biggest concern. I didn't know how we were going to do it, and we did. And I will eat all that crow all week long. And I was so happy I was wrong. Oh man, I was so wrong.
Yeah, you were just it's like every text you sent was just more. It's like you clearly were just like reading and studying and just working yourself into a frenzy like this. There's no way. But that can happen sometimes too. Like that happens to me. Like, and this is what something that Jeff Choate was notorious for. Like when she started talking on a press conference, he makes you think the team you're playing against is the best team that you'll ever see in Bobcat Stadium. And that's kind of what happens when you start doing research on a team. You start looking at the film, which is always like highlights of their best plays. You start looking at their dudes, like those are some dudes off the bus looking guys, and you just start working in your head like, how are we going to do this? But yeah, you were definitely, and I said this at one point, like, hey, Foley's going to negative town. That means the Bobcats are going to win. I said something to that effect. I was like, oh, he's really going down. That means that's a good thing. That's a positive sign for the Bobcats. So, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say like I was 100% confident the Bobcats were going to win all week. I definitely had my doubts. I was concerned. I thought if the Cats would win, it'd be a squeaker, but we had just as good likely a chance as to be blown out of the water as well. So let's put that into perspective, though. So you and I both, the mental side of the fandom on this side. Why didn't we think we were going to win this game? And more importantly, like, how big of a win is this for the program? Like, is this the biggest win that we've ever experienced as Bobcat fans? You and I in particular, but certainly the biggest since '84, probably, or not. You decide.
Well, are you including the Cat Grizz games?
Any game at all.
I don't think it eclipses some of the Cat Grizz games for me. It is a ginormous win. Absolutely. I think 2018 Cat Grizz beating the streak, Cat Grizz. I don't know. These might be toss-ups in my brain.
I'm talking like the biggest win for the program, I guess. Maybe that's what you're saying. Like, not the most exciting necessarily, just like the biggest win.
It's a statement win, no doubt. And it puts us in a position that, I mean, we are absolutely, I don't know about you, Thorny, but I mean, I do know about you. We can't believe what's going to happen this week. We're playing to go to the national championship game in Bozeman. That hasn't happened.
That's surreal.
Yeah, I don't know if it's ever happened. I mean, we probably should have checked that stat before.
What specifically that we had that at home?
Yeah.
Since '84, last time the Bobcats hosted a semifinal game.
Okay, so that was in '84. Okay, cool. Well, it was an unprecedented win. We kicked butt, and that's the big thing was, I think going into this game, I think that's why I was such in a tizzy, or maybe not a tizzy, just maybe like such doubtful was like our history, right? You know, playing Sam Houston, going back to 2011, 2010, getting our butts whooped here in Bozeman and in Huntsville, and then just how many times have we seen the Cats just like fall flat in big games?
Yeah, but this is the year that's been flipped. Right?
You always talk about these monkeys we're getting off our back, and this just was like
monkey toss kind of followed that
script. You're right. So yes, it's new ground. I want to say that it's new ground. Montana State rose to the occasion and exceeded my expectations in this game in so many levels, and that's so refreshing to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, that's just something that outside of Cat Grizz hasn't happened a whole lot, and not to this magnitude. Yes, we beat Eastern Washington. That was a huge win, and at the time we had talked about, is this the biggest win the Bobcats have had? Because we've been waiting for signature win, and I think that was a signature win, and that's what kind of got us to this point. And man, but we just took down the number one team in the country. I'm not sure that's happened. Can you think if we ever beat the number one team in the country before? I mean, you don't get that many opportunities to do that typically.
I don't remember playing the number one team in country, except there was North Dakota State.
North Dakota State would only be the one that would come to my mind on those. I don't know where Sam Houston State was ranked in 2011 or 12, but I'm pretty sure SDSU was probably number one back then even.
What about App State back in like 2006?
Oh, yeah, that may have been number one. That's a possibility because that was maybe their second national champion. Yeah, they're the defending national champs at that point. They had won at least one before because they wound up winning 4 in a row, which at the time seemed like amazing, but now that's like nothing. But
I thought the Grizz won it in 2005.
No, 2001. Last time the Grizz won. Because they were the defending national champs when we ended the streak.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, so beating a number 1 team, not sure that's happened. Apparently the first playoff win ever, which is kind of crazy to think about. But the Bobcats haven't been to the playoffs all that much if you really think about it. So, I mean, it's a huge win. And I think it's the biggest one, I think, since I started being a Cat fan in 2001, 2002. Now, if South Dakota State comes in and just pummels us, it kind of makes the win over the number 1 team kind of moot and kind of just takes all the steam out of it, all the vim right out of it. But I'm just going to keep using that word as much as I possibly can tonight. But at the moment, yeah, I think it's such a huge win, and I was so hyped. I couldn't even sit down. I was just like literally doing like kicks, like front kicks in excitement a couple times during that game.
Some judo kicks.
Yeah. Watched my son doing Taekwondo for 3 straight months. I did some front snap kicks. just couldn't even contain myself. I was so juiced, man. So juiced.
Yeah. Well, it definitely came across in the R&R After Dark. Yeah, I would go back. I have actually gone back and listened to that now like twice just to listen to how excited we were. It's so fun.
I listened to it for the first time today because, believe it or not, when I edit, I don't always listen to it. I just kind of, especially that night, I was edited it later on in the night. So if I sounded like I was having fun recording, I edited it even later in the evening. So I listened to it today. I was like, there were some goofs and stuff in there, but yeah, we were both just like 11 out of 10 on the Vim scale there.
You had so much Vim, you had to change your shirt.
That's right. I certainly did. But now the real question is, I got that shirt. Do I wash it? Do I wear it again?
Heck no.
If I go to Bozeman,
yes, you wash it. I mean, yes, you wear it again.
It's kind of funny. I completely we were out of. This is total wasting time now. But I was out of the house all day. Like we finally got back like 10 minutes before kickoff, and I was just like scrambling to get the kids all settled in so I could get the game on in time. I didn't even put on any Bobcat clothes. I just wore a green shirt, just Eddie Bauer green shirt, and apparently it's my good luck shirt now.
It's got the Vim.
It's marinating. South Dakota State.
Marinating in Vim.
We need to move on. 42 minutes.
Okay.
This bad boy.
All right. Let's do it. High noon. Bobcat Stadium. Sold out stadium, probably. Bethany Cordell's been on Bobcat Nation saying this and Twitter saying this is probably the best problem she's ever come across in any athletic department she's ever worked in.
Yeah, the phones. She said the phones have just been the most out of control that they've been, calling into the tickets office. Which I'm actually I wouldn't even have thought about it, to be honest with you. Like living in Washington, not being able to go to games, like all right, if I want to go, I better get a ticket right now. Like that thought never even crossed my mind. And now there's no tickets. And maybe there'll be one tomorrow at noon or whatever, but they sold out so fast that before I even thought about making plans to go to Bozeman all the way from here, they were already sold out. Like, what the heck? That's awesome, but it sucks for me.
I was hoping this would have been the Friday night game. I like night games.
That would be pretty cool. Be pretty cold.
Yeah. I would love that, though. That would be so cool.
All right. Well,
last time we played South Dakota State was a night game. It was Gold Rush in 2017.
No, I played them in 2018.
All right.
Last time we played them at home. Yes. All right. Well, South Dakota State. Let's move on to that. Hopefully, we both get to go. We'll keep everyone posted on that. Not like anyone cares if we actually go to the game or not. But South Dakota State currently sitting at 11-3. John Stiegelmeier, 25th season as the head coach of the Jackrabbits, has got him cooking again. Offensive coordinator Jason Eck may sound familiar to Bobcat fans. He was the offensive or the run game coordinator and the offensive line coach for one fateful season in 2015. Bad time to join the Bobcat program. Sorry about that, Jake Kocek there. But
yeah,
I think he's probably not too upset about it now with the success he's had over there.
I heard he's in the run for the Idaho.
He is. And I didn't realize I was looking at him today. He actually coached at Idaho from like 2002 to 2005. I don't know, as like a position coach of some kind. So, you know, he could end up winning that job.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Jackrabbits, 11-3. One of the best unseeded teams I've ever seen in the history of the playoffs. They're only even an unseeded team because they lost a Hail Mary pass against South Dakota. Second to last game of the season. They ended up losing that game by 3 points on a Hail Mary pass. Otherwise, it would have finished 9-2 and for sure would have been a seed. But their only two losses outside of that were to Southern Illinois, 41-42 in overtime, who was ranked number 8 at the time, who ended up making the playoffs, and then Northern Iowa, who Northern Iowa always plays well against good teams and terrible against bad teams. Lost that game 17-26, but I know that they've been without the services of Isaiah Davis, their stud running back, who's been hurt a lot. So he wasn't playing in either one of those games. Signature wins, man. They opened the season against Colorado State and just pummeled them 42-23, and the game wasn't that close. I think Colorado State scored like a garbage time touchdown to make it 42-23. One of the biggest drubbings I've seen of a pretty good G5, or not good, but a traditional G5 team like Colorado State. Like that's a big time program. They just pummeled them. And they beat North Dakota State on November 6th, which is the third to last game before they lost the next week to the South Dakota. But yeah, they beat them 27-19 in a game that wasn't even really that close either at home. You know, they are a fantastic football team, and when they're healthy and they got it humming, they're as good as anybody, and they're showing that here in the playoffs.
Yeah, well, they played UC Davis. You talk about that, 56-24. And then Sac State
playoffs
first
now.
round
You're
of
talking
the playoffs. Yeah. You know, they look a lot like the Bobcats do to me. I think we could draw a couple parallels to their team from us. They're tough. They play hard. They run to the ball. Everything you want to see in a team. I was watching a little bit of the Villanova game, and Villanova had some splash plays. They were able to complete some passes on them. And I don't think they're known for their secondary. That's not true. They're actually number one in takeaways in the nation in passes. So I retract that statement. But even though Villanova was able to complete some passes, but just my broad observations of them: play hard, big dudes, strong looking dudes, look like they are endure some hard winners over there. Although they do have some nice facilities. I know good old Leon Costello left them pretty good before he came over to Montana State.
Didn't we jokingly call this the Battle of the
game,
Leon
man.
Costellos a few weeks ago?
The Battle of the Leon Costellos. There it is.
just reminded me of that. Yeah, man, they got some absolute dudes. They got probably the best running back tandem in the FCS by a decent margin, because Pierre Strong is the number one rusher in the country ahead of Isaiah Fonse. He's sitting there at the top. He's been on an absolute tear in the playoffs. He has 400 Isaiah Davis has been on a tear.
Davis. Yeah.
He came back from his injury. That's what it was. His first game back with North Dakota, which was the last game of the season. But in the playoffs, he has 499 yards, 6 touchdowns, 8.5 yards or 8.45 yards per carry in the playoffs. Man, he is everything that you want from a complimentary running back to Pierre Strong, who's a leading rusher, like I said, in the country. Those two guys, if they're both healthy, are going to be a huge handful for the Bobcats.
Oh, absolutely. Compound that with their quarterback, Chris Oladokun, 2,849 yards, 24 touchdowns. In the Villanova game, he was 11 for 19 for 152, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. What I saw from him is a guy who stands tall in the pocket, likes to throw down the seams, has an accurate arm.
Well, the seam attack is the good way to attack the 4-2-5. So don't love that.
Absolutely.
Don't love hearing that.
Nope. Another guy that kind of jumped out on the film to me, number 85, Tucker Kraft, a tight end, 6'5", 225. You couldn't miss him. The dude was just like, oh my gosh, that guy looks like. Who is our tight end we had from Miami?
Bo Sandlin.
I can't remember. Yeah, he looked like Bo Sandlin to me.
I was thinking this is the second coming of Dallas Goedert here, the stud tight end they had a few years ago, who's currently a Philadelphia Eagle with Alex Singleton.
Yeah. I think Steelmeyer likes that kind of player in that position for sure. They have a set of twins playing wideouts for them. Jackson Janke and
Jaden.
I think it's Jaden
Jackson.
Yankee. I think I don't think the J is. I think it's Yankee brothers. And yeah, Jaden. I was gonna say Juden, but my handwriting is poor. So
I watch a lot of Scooby Doo in this household.
I think it's Yankee. I'm pretty sure. Anyways, I might be wrong, but it's more funny if it's actually.
But they've combined for 1,100 yards here and 13 touchdowns between the two of them.
Yeah,
not bad.
So,
combo.
They got some playmakers. Like I said, they just look tough. They look like a Montana team. So I think it's going to be a great matchup. I think we're going to see kind of like, that meme of the two Spider-Mans pointing at each other like, you're me. You're me. That's what I kind of think about it as far as when I see this matchup against the Cats.
Yeah, I could see that a little bit, but the quarterback does have 291 yards on the season, but that's only good for a little over 11 yards a game. He's got a long of 27 yards. So I think in terms of philosophy, running the ball, they're very similar. In defense, I think they'll be very similar, but the philosophies are similar. They just go about it a little bit different ways. The Bobcats use the +1 run game a lot more, I think. But yeah, you're right. Two teams that like to run the ball and stop the run. That's how you win national championships, and that's what South Dakota State's hoping to do here in their, fourth straight road game? Yeah,
and their 25th game this year.
And they haven't. And
I don't think that can be understated.
I think they had an early bye too.
Yeah, in September.
Yeah, way back. Yeah, there it is. Week 3 is when they had their bye week. Yeah. So they played Colorado State, and then they played Lindenwood, and then they had a bye. So they've been playing a lot of football for a long time. So if the Bobcats are beat up, man, so I imagine South Dakota State's has got to be dinged up a little bit. Maybe the guys aren't out, but everyone's dealing with something right now. Now we did hear Pierre Strong. I think he may have gotten injured in the Villanova game. I think I read maybe he's under a concussion protocol. That's complete. Me not remembering well, not verifying that whatsoever. But he may be a scratch for the game. I'm not saying he will be, but then that would be a huge thing for the game if Pierre Strong's not able to go. But I think one of the biggest strengths we need to talk about quickly here with South Dakota State is their offensive line. I've heard nothing but chatter all over the place that they pretty much have the best offensive line in the country. Sometimes they don't play like it, but when they're playing well, they're really hard to beat. Obviously, they've beaten some big time squads and some big time defenses. If you're able to run the ball that well in the Missouri Valley Football Conference, man, I always have a hard time saying that. You're pretty good. Mm-hmm. You're pretty good. Usually, you have to have a big offensive line, and I think they do. And they're going to present some problems for the Bobcats too, especially if Chase Benson is not able to go.
Yeah, it's a good point. On the other side of the line, they're second in the nation for tackles for loss. Yikes.
Yeah, let's look at some national stuff here. Do you got that up in front of you? Because some stuff jumps out at you. Total offense, 15th in the country, but 49th passing. So most of their damage is done on the ground. So here's another top 10 rushing attack the Bobcats going to play. That's 3 in a row now. They are the number 8 scoring offense, but so they're 49th passing offense in terms of yardage, but they're the number 7 most efficient passing offense. So they are what you want to do, man. They're not going to throw the ball a ton, but when they do, they're going to have high percentage throws that are complete and get things done. Their defense is 39th total defense, so maybe not the best defense the Bobcats will face this year, but they are the 11th rushing defense. Now, this is always where statistics kind of get thrown out the window. They play in the Missouri Valley Football Conference, where teams run the ball a lot, and they're very talented. So those stats may not be as good like a Sam Houston State stat, but the competition is better. So it's hard to really know who's got the edge there. But yeah, another thing that jumps out to me, and this is what you talked about too, the turnover margin. They're number 2. number 2 in the country.
Ooh.
But the Bobcats are number 5.
Taking care of the ball. I think we are like, as far as turnovers, like one of the top teams in the nation for not having turnovers. So
yeah, for sure.
That's kind of a wash.
Bobcats have only turned the ball over 8 times all year, which is tied for first. Tied for first in the entire.
Tied for first.
And that's like both the teams that are number 2 and number 3 they played 10 games. So we are literally the best at not turning the ball over. We're not as good as South Dakota State as maybe as forcing turnovers, but man, 8 turnovers in 13 games, that's actually pretty crazy.
Jeez, knock on wood, everybody. All right. Thorny, I think the intangibles favor Montana State in this game simply because we're at home and we're going to have a sellout crowd.
Yeah. Yeah, and the fact that, South Dakota State's been playing so much football for so long now without having a break since September, their 4th straight road game. This is the kind of stuff that can point to a victory for one team, and signs point to the Bobcats when you start thinking about that kind of stuff. SU's got it rolling, though, man. They're blowing teams out of the playoffs. They spanked Villanova, but there was like probably 5,000 fans at the Villanova game. It's going to be a whole different scenario in Bozeman.
Ooh. Yeah. Our lines are bigger than Villanova's. That's unquestionable. Our defense is better than Villanova's. That's unquestionable. And we hadn't talked a lot about this, but Tommy Mellott is bringing a spark to this team at this time. And we always talk about playing your best ball late in November. Well, I think Montana State is probably playing their best ball in December. And what a better time to be playing your best ball.
Thank you for getting back to Tommy Mellott. I alluded to it earlier. Like, we'll get around to it. I feel like we do that a lot on the podcast. Like, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
And then we never do. We just that's the last of it.
The most obvious thing to talk about that we don't talk about. Because we always think we'll get to it, but we never do because we just forget about it. So Tommy Mellott.
What do you think we need out of Tommy Mellott in the passing game here? So I really liked what I saw at Tommy Mellott.
Let's go down that road.
There is so much more we need from a quarterback at this point to win the national championship. Maybe not. Maybe I'm completely full of it. I said we only needed to throw for about 150 yards to beat Sam Houston State. I feel like the yardage probably is not going to be a whole lot different. We might have to get closer to 200 in this one, but it still doesn't have to be anything crazy. But we're going to have to be more diverse in where we're throwing the ball. We can't just throw the ball up the seams the entire game and expect to win against a team like South Dakota State. I think they got I wish I had this in front of me. I think they may have an all-conference or all-American type defensive back that they can line up on Lance McCutcheon. So if they're able to neutralize McCutcheon in any way, like, where do we go?
Well, we talked about a little bit about having tape on Tommy Mellott.
Yes.
Well, come out of Incarnate Word, not a lot of tape on him throwing. And then with the tape on Sam Houston, it's just all deep balls. Or, excuse me, UT Martin. And with Sam Houston, it's all deep balls, right?
Yep.
So now what we need to do is have the intermediate routes. They talked about it all stinking game too, and we just never hit them. We never even attempted them. And I went back and I looked for them. We do have crossing routes that go across and open up.
We do send big wide receivers
big chunks of turns out, right?
Turns out.
And we missed them. Tommy was just not looking for him. He was locked on to Nate Stewart or Lance McCutcheon, and those turn out to be high percentage throws. We hit big chunk plays. But in this game, I really do believe, like you said, we need more out of Tommy Mellott. We need to see more diversity in the passing game. I think that's the next step for this offense. If we can do that, and if we can show that we can hit the intermediate routes, be more diverse in our passing game, I think maybe we might have a chance to win the national championship.
Oh,
that's the next step that we need to do in order to win the national championship. Without that, our current offense right now, I don't think we could win the national championship with.
I agree with that. And it's funny because when you're normally talking about the quarterback, he's not throwing, he's not doing this, he's not doing that. You're saying that because you've seen a quarterback play 6-7 games and you have a bunch of case examples to point back to. But, I'm saying this as this is what needs to happen. This is a positive thing because I think it can happen. He's such a young quarterback. There's so much room to grow. So this is not like a frustration of watching a struggling quarterback. This is optimism of a maybe a burgeoning star, but he still has to take that next step, and he has to take it fast. And that's the hard part. His development has to be super fast because we started him so late in the season. Like if this would have happened, like we talked about last week, if this would have happened maybe after the Idaho game or Idaho State game or any other game, we might be looking at a different situation here. But here he is, his third start in the semifinals. What can he do? I don't know. If he can repeat last week, that's great. That might not be enough to win against a team like South Dakota State. Maybe it is. We'll find out. But I just think we need more if we're going to beat either James Madison or North Dakota State. If we can get past South Dakota State, it's going to take even more. So I'm really like what I'm seeing. I think there's some huge positives to take away there. But, ultimately, it still leaves you wanting more in a way.
He had one good pass. Well, I mean, he had plenty of good passes, but the one where he hit Snell on the button hook, he looked that open. His eyes were left, and he held the safety right there, and then he went right to Snell, who's on the right. I was like, that's something I hadn't seen from McKay in a while.
And he threw it up and away too from the defenders. So like Snell went up for it, and the defender went there too, but it was such a perfectly placed throw. It was a great throw.
Exactly. So that was good. Let's build off of that.
That's right.
Let's hit a couple crossing routes. Maybe something. I'm just talking like those 5-yard routes that just, go over the top of the rushing defense in the vacated zone back there. I think that's enough to keep the defense honest and enough to move the chains, enough to have a 3rd and 5. My biggest concern with this offense is what do we run when it's 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7? Those are tough plays for the Montana State offense.
Yeah, I agree with that. So we'll see. This isn't a fair question. I don't want to keep focusing on this, but how many yards do you think that Malott needs to throw in this game to win the game? I already told you. I think it needs to be right around, I'll say between 175 and 200 will get it done.
Okay, I'm going to go 200 on this one.
So not as much as last week. I think we'll be able to run the ball a little bit. I think we'll be able to move the ball on the ground. Maybe we won't. Maybe we won't. We certainly struggled against Sam Houston State. There we go. We did struggle, but there's some opportunities to test the edges more, and that's what I'm really hoping to see.
So Sam Houston State played us man-to-man pretty much all game long. Coach Keeler even talked about it in his post-game press conference. These guys are going to play more a diverse offense or a diverse defense. We're going to see a lot more zone as well. So the passing is going to be a little harder because we were banking on our guys to beat their one-on-ones. That happened a lot of the time. So Tommy's going to have to dice in, slice the zone. But I do think you're right on your assessment. I think we will be able to run the ball a little bit better against South Dakota State. And I think if we have a better balance of pass and run in this game, I think favors the Bobcats.
Yeah, so this is what we alluded to, and I want to get to this, probably the last thing I want to talk about here. You're right, and absolutely right. I just, we'll see how much of Tommy Malott's success, the offensive success, was nobody knowing what to expect from Tommy Malott. Now there's some real film out there. The UT Martin game totally took them surprise because they didn't even know that he was starting until they landed Thursday in Bozeman. And even if they knew that, then they have no film on him other than a couple like Wildcat quarterback plays where he's playing earlier in the year. Sam Houston State probably watched a little bit of that UT Martin game and saw his low passing output and the kinds of throws he did try even attempting to throw. And then they just weren't ready for him to be chucking it down the sideline. Well, now South Dakota State's going to be ready. Like now they have some film. They might know what to expect. We're going to have to be creative again. We're really going to have to kind of try and keep them off their toes and keep them, flat-footed and just making those half-second delays in the decision-making process that allow big plays to happen. So we'll see what we can dial up, and we'll I'm excited to see what'll happen.
Yeah, well, we all know Malott's a gamer.
That's for sure.
That
is absolutely true.
He is such a spark.
5 touchdowns,
he has
receiving,
galvanized.
Passing, catching.
We're going to go down swinging, whatever it is, man.
Right.
It's win, Vic, or loss. It's going to be, we're going to give it hell. I love it.
That's right. Yeah.
All right, buddy.
Happy to have him leading the team right now. That's for sure.
Okay, getting into these golden coolies. Prodigal Cat asks, is a jackrabbit as terrifying to you as it is to me? I've seen enough stuffed jackrabbits in my life. They don't look all that scary.
They're pretty good size, though, aren't they?
They are.
I mean,
they're just big bunnies.
Like if for some reason, like a jackrabbit decided to charge you out of nowhere, I mean, you'd probably backpedal. You'd probably take off running. But they don't.
Oh, they're fast for sure. They're just bunnies.
Yeah, they're not going to charge you. Like they're not going to.
They're probably like the size of a small border collie or something like that.
Yeah. Now, if we're talking like maybe like 5 jackrabbits, yeah, and maybe that's why there's such a good team, because it takes a team of jackrabbits to be any kind of intimidating.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Prodigal Cat. I don't know why they're terrifying to you. Maybe you should reach out to me and we can talk.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Okay. Yeah. Teton Cat says, do you believe the game plan has expanded, or still primarily throw deep shots and run up the middle with the Malott better at pulling on the replays? I think we kind of just talked about that about 10 minutes ago. You and I are predicting the game plan to be more diverse. If it's not, well, I hope we can win still. Montana State might match up better against South Dakota State. But to your question, Teton Cat, I'm expecting some more pass plays this Saturday.
I'm not sure what I'm expecting, to be honest. I mean, yeah, I do expect a bit more of a diverse play plan. Goodness, crashing hard here. But I do expect us to test the edges a bit more, run some stuff more, maybe some tight end stuff, just stuff you normally do for, defenses that might run the zone a little bit. So hopefully we do see a little more of a diverse play plan, but I don't know, game plan. But I don't really see it changing, drastically from what we've been doing, or at least what we did against Martin or Sam Houston.
This is one thing I would say is I think we're going to probably see Malott move out of the pocket more, kind of like he did in UT Martin.
Yeah, get the pocket moving. He's going to make some good plays on the run. That's what he does best.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, that was all from Bobcat Nation.
I got one from email from Scott Palmer. One key to the Sam Houston State victory was the unpreparedness to handle the Cats' passing game. How much do you love that win in Saturday's game? I believe that allowed the Cats to disguise touchdown Tommy's lethal passing game. And we did talk about that. Thanks for the question, Scott. We did talk a little bit about that. I think it did help. I think that Sam Houston State just wasn't prepared for what Tommy Malott could do. I'm not even sure anybody really was. Like, I was definitely in a wait and see mode. I wasn't decided any one way on whether he could sling it or not. I knew it was windy, but I mean, that was the only game we had on him. So I don't know if I expected him to come out and be able to throw such a beautiful pass like he did to Willie Patterson, that touchdown pass. So Ooh. I think we might actually thank the wind a little bit on that one, because we were able to beat Martin, just kind of doing what we have been doing all year and spring it on Sam Houston State, if you will.
Yeah, Sam Houston State was banking on their one-on-one coverage on the outside that they would win those matchups. I think not only Malott gave them a little fits that they weren't expected for, but also our receivers.
Yeah, Nate Stewart had a really good game. He's been a big big part of the passing game, emerging in the last 4 or 5 games, just coming off his injury and just finally finding someone to be productive besides McCutcheon. We talked about all year needing somebody besides McCutcheon to step up, and it looks like it finally took a healthy Nate Stewart to be that guy. And Willie Patterson. I'm not going to forget Willie Patterson here, but those two guys have stepped up a little bit to help out the passing game for sure.
Nice.
That's all I got.
All right. Well, I think I'm going to pick Prodigal Cat is a jackrabbit as terrifying to you as it is to me. And I like your response, Thorny, on that question most of all. But I know that Prodigal Cat does not have a golden coolie, so I will send you one. Woo! Good job, buddy. We are running out of our golden coolies fast. They are becoming a limited release. They will not have some certain language on them as we send them out in the future. They are becoming a collector's edition.
Yes.
So
get them while they last, because they're going to be not as cool anymore, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll send out the very last Cooley in stock will be sent out on the answer for the post-game national championship podcast when we win it. And that'll be the last winner and the last one we send out. There's the dream.
I actually am going to save a golden Cooley for you and for me on the first iteration. And someday when we're old, we'll have like a museum of golden Coolies that we have made.
Get them like framed.
Yeah, I'm just thinking ahead, man.
When we're podcasting when we're 60.
Yep. I'm planning on doing it. You and I gonna be old farts sitting there talking about Montana State. All right, let's get out of here.
Let's get out of here.
Bedtime.
I'm an old fart right now because I'm tired and it's 10:20. I want to go to bed. Thanks everyone for listening, man. I hope everyone enjoyed that game as much as we did. I hope everyone enjoyed listening to this episode and our kind of incoherent, rambling instant reaction episode that we've already released. You can find us on Twitter, RRCatcast. You can find us on the web, rrcatcast.com. You can email us at rrcatcast@gmail.com. Thanks again, everyone, for sending in the questions all year long. We love reading them, and it's been a lot of fun. Thanks again to Jeremiah Johnson, our dank sponsor, and Foley. Let's get out of here. The Go Cats.
Go Cats.
Go Cats.